There's an old saying, the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Most people hear that and think it's about pain. It's not. It's about awareness. The person who causes the damage often doesn't even realize what they've done. But the person paying attention remembers every detail. Life works the same way. Most people go through their days noticing only what is obvious. They hear words but miss intentions. They see actions but ignore patterns. They focus on events while overlooking the causes behind them. But a few people pay attention differently. They notice the careless comment that reveals someone's character. They notice the small habit that predicts a future mistake. They notice patterns long before they become problems. This is where real intelligence begins, not with having more information than everyone else, but with seeing what everyone else overlooks. Yet, here's the bitter truth. Seeing the pattern doesn't change your life. Using the pattern does. And that's the difference between a genius and a strategist. A genius understands the game. A strategist knows how to position himself inside it. One recognizes opportunities, the other turns them into results. Machiavelli understood that intelligence alone is never enough. The world doesn't reward people simply for seeing clearly. It rewards those who know what to do with what they see. Now, before we get into the tips, I want you to understand something Machiavelli wrote that most people completely misread. People think Machiavelli was teaching ruthlessness. They think he was a cold, manipulative man who believed power was everything. That's wrong. What Machiavelli was actually teaching was this: the world operates on reality, not ideals. Most people lose, not because they're weak, not because they're stupid, but because they refuse to see the world as it actually is. They see people as they wish they were. They make decisions based on how things should work. And then reality hits them like a wall they never saw coming. Machiavelli said, "Open your eyes first, then move. See the board clearly, understand the players, know your position, and only then act." That's not ruthlessness. That's intelligence applied with discipline. And in this video, you'll learn how to develop both. How to think like a genius and act like a strategist. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see, I think, I win. Number 1, train yourself to notice what others ignore. Most people walk into a room and see furniture. A sharp person walks into the same room and reads the entire story inside it. The book left face down on the table. The coffee cup with 3 rings stained into the wood. The chair pushed slightly away from the desk. The phone placed screen down instead of screen up. None of these things scream for attention, but every single one of them is telling you something. This is the first skill Machiavelli would have called essential. Not book knowledge, not strategy, not even experience. Pure, disciplined observation. The ability to notice what others walk past without a second thought. Here's the honest reality. Most people are not paying attention. They're too busy managing their own thoughts, their own worries, their own running commentary inside their head. They move through conversations, through meetings, through relationships, on autopilot, half present, half somewhere else entirely. And because of that, they miss everything. They miss the moment a person's voice tightens when a certain topic comes up. They miss the split-second expression that crosses someone's face before their smile covers it. They miss the pause before the answer that tells you more than the answer itself ever could. You want to think like a genius. Start paying attention like one. Here's how you actually build this skill. First, slow down your judgment. Most people decide what they think about a situation before they've fully observed it. They label it, file it, and move on. Stop doing that. Stay in the observation phase longer than feels comfortable. Look again. Look closer. Second, watch what people do when they think nobody's watching. That's when the real character comes out. Not during the performance, not during the presentation. In the quiet, unguarded, in-between moments. Third, notice the things that don't match. When someone's words and body language are telling two completely different stories, believe the body. Words can be rehearsed. Bodies leak the truth. Fourth, get curious about small things. Small details are not random. They are the edges of much larger patterns. Pull on a small thread long enough, and you will eventually find exactly what's holding everything together. The people who change the world are not always the loudest or the most educated. They are often simply the most observant. They caught what others dropped. They remembered what others forgot. Start noticing. Start now. Everything around you is already speaking. The question is whether you're actually listening. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I notice everything. Number 2. Look for patterns, not isolated events. A river doesn't flood because of one rainy day. It floods because of weeks of rain nobody bothered to track. By the time the water rises, the damage was already written slowly, in a pattern most people ignored until it was too late to stop. That's how almost every collapse in life works. Nobody falls because of one bad moment. They fall because of 20 small moments that all pointed the same direction, and they kept calling each one just this once. A pattern is simply the same behavior, repeated long enough to stop being an accident. One missed deadline is an accident. 5 missed deadlines is a character trait. One careless mistake is human. The same mistake made 5 times is a decision, even if nobody admits it out loud. Most people judge the world one event at a time. They see a moment, they react to that moment, and they move on without connecting it to the moment before it or the moment after it. This is exactly why they keep getting surprised by outcomes that, looking back, were never really surprising at all. A sharper mind does something different. It treats every event as a single brick, refusing to judge the building until enough bricks have been laid to see the actual shape forming. Start training yourself to zoom out instead of zooming in. When something happens, don't just ask, "What does this mean right now?" Ask, "Where have I seen this exact shape before?" Memory is your greatest tool here, not memory for facts, but memory for behavior. The mind that remembers patterns sees the future long before it arrives, because the future is rarely original. It is almost always a repeat of something that already happened quietly, more than once. Give weight to frequency, not to drama. A loud, dramatic moment that happens once carries less truth than a quiet, boring moment that happens 10 times. Drama grabs attention. Repetition reveals reality, and resists the urge to judge too early. A pattern needs at least 3 points before it's actually a pattern. 2 points can still be coincidence. 3 or more lined up in the same direction stop being random and start being a forecast. The people who seem to see things coming aren't gifted with some rare instinct. They are simply patient enough to count repetitions instead of reacting to single events. By the time most people notice smoke, the pattern watcher already saw the fire building, log by log, weeks ago. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see the pattern. Number 3, learn to read intentions behind words. Every word that leaves someone's mouth is a costume. Sometimes the costume matches what's underneath. A skilled actor can deliver any line with total conviction, whether it's true or not. People are no different. Anyone can choose the right sentence. Far fewer people can hide the real reason they chose it. Most listeners stop at the surface. They hear a sentence, accept it as fact, and react to the words exactly as spoken. This is precisely why they get blindsided so often, because words are easy to control, but intention leaks out in places people forget to watch. Intention shows up in timing more than in language. A kind word offered right before a request is rarely just kindness. It's an opening move dressed up as warmth. Notice when something is said, not only what is said. Timing exposes purpose faster than vocabulary ever will. Intention also shows up in defense. People rarely explain the things nobody questions. When someone suddenly over-explains a small detail, that detail is usually protecting something bigger. Unprompted justification is a flashing sign that says, "Look here," even though the person saying it wants you looking somewhere else entirely. There's also a gap worth watching closely, the gap between tone and content. Calm words said in a tense tone, or harsh words said in a gentle tone, both reveal a mismatch between the script and the actor reading it. When tone and content disagree, trust the tone. Tone is far harder to fake under real pressure than vocabulary is. Here's the sharpest question of all. Who benefits if I believe this exactly as it was said? Every sentence is pointed somewhere. Find the direction it's pointed, and the sentence suddenly makes a lot more sense than it did on its own. This isn't about assuming everyone is lying. Most people mean exactly what they say, most of the time. But the cost of being naive once is often higher than the cost of checking 100 times. A mind trained to notice intention isn't suspicious of people. It's simply refusing to be the last one in the room to understand what actually happened. Once you start listening underneath the sentence, instead of just inside it, conversations stop sounding the same. You start catching the real message, traveling quietly beneath the polite one everyone else is busy reacting to. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I hear what's underneath. Number 4. Think 3 steps ahead before you move. A chess beginner looks at the piece in front of them. A skilled player looks at the board 4 moves down the line because they already know roughly how their opponent thinks and reacts. That gap between seeing one move and seeing several is the entire difference between reacting to life and directing it. Most decisions get made by asking a small question. What do I want to do right now? A sharper decision gets made by asking a bigger one. If I do this, what happens next? And then what happens after that? This single follow-up question quietly destroys most impulsive choices before they're even made. A move that feels satisfying in the moment often looks completely different once you trace where it actually leads 3 steps later. Build this habit by imagining the most likely reaction to your move, not the reaction you're hoping for. People plan for the response they want, and then act shocked when reality sends back something else entirely. The strategist plans for the realistic response, not the convenient one. Protect your future options whenever you can. A strong move doesn't just solve the problem sitting in front of you, it keeps your next set of choices open. A weak move might feel like a relief today and quietly lock a door you'll wish you still had access to later. Speed has its place, but not everywhere. Small decisions can move fast. Anything that carries real weight deserves a pause long enough to mentally walk 3 steps ahead before taking the first one in real life. Think about how a captain reads weather before a long voyage. They're not just looking at today's sky, they're tracking where the wind is heading and what that wind will become 2 days from now, far past the horizon they can currently see. That's the posture worth borrowing. Aware of what's ahead, not just what's directly in front of you. Most regret doesn't come from choosing the wrong option. It comes from never asking where an option actually led before stepping into it. The outcome was usually visible 3 steps away the entire time. It simply wasn't visible from where the person was standing because they never looked that far. Train your mind to live slightly ahead of the present moment, not anxious about it, just aware of it. See the next move before making this one, and very little in life will catch you off guard. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I think 3 steps ahead. Number 5. Turn information into advantage. A blacksmith holding unused iron has nothing but weight. The same iron, shaped and sharpened, becomes a tool that can build or defend. Knowledge works exactly the same way. It's only as valuable as what you actually forge from it. Most people stop at noticing. They catch a pattern, sense a real intention, predict a likely outcome, and then simply file it away, satisfied with having seen it. Awareness becomes a private trophy instead of a working tool, and a trophy sitting on a shelf changes absolutely nothing about a person's actual situation. Information has a shelf life. Spotted early, it's a weapon. Left unused too long, it quietly turns into nothing but trivia. True, interesting, and completely useless by the time anyone finally acts on it. The first move is asking what this specific piece of information actually changes, not generally, specifically. If you've noticed something true, what exact decision should look different because of it? If there's no clear answer, the insight hasn't been used yet. It's only been collected. The next move is acting while that information is still fresh, before the situation shifts underneath it. Conditions change. What was useful today may be irrelevant next month, simply because the moment that made it valuable has already passed. Keep most of what you notice to yourself. The strength of insight comes partly from scarcity. The moment everyone sees what you see, your advantage disappears along with it. You rarely need to announce what you've figured out. You simply need to quietly adjust your position because of it. And use what you know to make better choices, not to control anyone else's. The goal of sharp awareness is clarity for yourself, not leverage over others. One builds a stronger position, the other builds enemies. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of this. The world is full of genuinely perceptive people going absolutely nowhere, because perception without action is just a quiet hobby. It feels intelligent. It changes nothing on its own. Treat what you learn like currency, not like a collectible. A coin in a drawer protects nothing and builds nothing. The same coin, spent at the right moment, can completely shift where you stand. The difference was never how much you knew. It was whether you were willing to actually spend it. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I use what I know. Number 6. Study people's habits more than their promises. A tree doesn't lie about how it grew. Cut it open and the rings tell the truth. Every dry season, every storm, every steady year recorded permanently in the wood. A promise can be spoken in 5 seconds. A habit takes years to build, which is exactly why it can't be faked the way a sentence can. People promise change constantly, and in the moment, many of them genuinely believe it. But a promise is a snapshot of intention, a single frame captured under whatever emotion was present at the time. A habit is something else entirely. A record built across dozens of unwatched moments of what someone actually does when nothing is forcing them to perform. The common mistake is weighing the most recent promise heavier than months of repeated behavior. People hear a sincere apology and quietly erase a long pattern that came before it, then act shocked when the same old pattern resurfaces a few weeks later, as if it had ever really disappeared. Judge behavior across a long stretch of time, not a single recent stretch. A short burst of change means very little measured against years of consistency in the opposite direction. Real change is slow, repeated, and rarely needs to announce itself. Pay closer attention to how someone behaves under pressure than how they behave when things are calm. Calm reveals personality. Pressure reveals character. Anyone can hold a promise together when nothing is actually testing it. Watch the smallest habits, especially how someone treats people who can offer them nothing, how they react to minor inconvenience, how steady their effort stays when there's no audience watching. Small, unwatched habits carry more truth than any grand gesture performed in front of others. This isn't a claim that people can't change. They absolutely can. But real change gets proven through a new pattern sustained over real time, not through a better-sounding promise. A person who is genuinely changing rarely needs you to take their word for it. Their behavior starts doing the talking on its own, without being asked to. The next time words and actions disagree, give the actions the final vote. Words describe intention. Habits record reality. One is a preview. The other is what actually happened, over and over, whether anyone was applauding or not. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I trust habits, not promises. Number 7. Control your emotions during critical decisions. A captain who panics during a storm doesn't make the storm weaker. They just make their own decisions worse, exactly when the ship needs them sharpest. The waves don't care how the captain feels. The ship only survives if someone on board can think clearly while everyone else is reacting. This is one of the most dangerous traps built into human nature. The moments that matter most, the big decision, the high-stakes choice, the tense confrontation, are also the exact moments emotion gets loudest. And loud emotion makes weak decisions. Anger wants to strike back, not to plan. Fear wants to escape, not to think. Excitement wants speed, not patience. None of these instincts are designed for strategy. They're designed for surviving immediate danger, not for navigating something complicated. Controlling emotion doesn't mean feeling nothing. That idea misses the point completely. You're allowed to feel the full weight of anger, fear, or excitement. The actual skill is refusing to let that feeling be the one making the decision. Create distance between the trigger and the response. Even a short pause is often enough to let the first emotional spike pass before you speak or move. Most damage happens in the first reaction, rarely in the second, calmer one that comes after a breath. Naming the emotion, even silently, weakens its grip almost instantly. The moment you can observe a feeling clearly enough to label it, you've already separated yourself from being fully controlled by it. Picture the calmest version of yourself before deciding anything heavy. Not the angriest version, not the most wounded version. Let that steadier version lead the decision instead of whichever emotion happens to be loudest in that exact moment. And protect your biggest decisions from your worst moments entirely. Never make a major call at the peak of fury, panic, or euphoria. Let the wave pass first. The same decision will almost always look different once the water settles. History remembers the leaders who lasted, and almost none of them lasted by feeling nothing. They lasted by refusing to let strong emotions sit in the driver's seat during the moments that actually counted. An emotional mind is easy to predict and easy to push around because the next move is written all over it before it even happens. Calm isn't the absence of feeling. Calm is choosing strategy over impulse, on purpose, especially when impulse is screaming the loudest. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I stay calm. I stay clear. Number 8. Position yourself before opportunities appear. An archer doesn't draw the bow the moment the target appears. The bow was already drawn, the stance already set, long before the target ever showed up. By the time the opportunity is visible, preparation is no longer something you can start. It's something you either already have or you don't. Opportunity rarely announces itself ahead of time. It shows up suddenly, stays briefly, and moves on quickly to whoever happened to be ready for it. Most people aren't ready, and that single fact explains far more lucky breaks than luck itself ever does. Chances rarely go to the most talented person in the room. They go to the most prepared one. Talent sitting in the wrong position, untouched and unsharpened, gets passed over again and again in favor of smaller skill that simply happened to be standing in the right place, ready to move. Most people wait for the right moment before they start preparing for it. But once a moment finally arrives, there's no time left to build the skill, the reputation, or the readiness it actually requires. The work has to happen quietly, in advance, while nothing urgent seems to be happening at all. Build the skill before you need it. The window for developing ability almost always closes the instant the opportunity that needed it shows up. Sharpen the tool long before there's anything in front of you to cut. Stay visible to the people who matter, consistently, not only in moments when you need something from them. Chances usually arrive through people who already have some sense of what you're capable of. Strangers rarely hand out opportunities to people they've never noticed. Keep your efforts steady, even during quiet seasons when nothing seems to be happening. The version of you that shows up consistently, even when no one is watching, is exactly the version that gets chosen the moment something finally moves. And watch where things are heading, not only where they currently sit. Position yourself slightly ahead of a shift, not directly in the middle of it, once everyone else has already caught on and crowded in. This is the real difference between people who seem to get lucky again and again, and people who keep missing their moment entirely. Luck favors readiness. It always has. The person who looks lucky from the outside usually spent a long, quiet stretch of time preparing for something they couldn't even fully name yet. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I prepare before I need to. Number 9. Master the art of strategic patience. A hunter who moves too early scares away the exact thing they were waiting for. The right action, taken at the wrong moment, produces the same outcome as no action at all, sometimes worse, because it also costs the element of surprise. Timing isn't a small detail added on top of a good decision. Timing is part of the decision itself. The same move, made too early or too late, can completely fail, even when the move itself was the correct one all along. Most failure doesn't come from choosing the wrong action. It comes from choosing the right action before the situation was actually ready for it. People speak the truth before anyone is willing to hear it. They make their move before circumstances have fully developed. They act out of impatience instead of readiness, and then wonder why something that should have worked simply fell apart. Real patience isn't passive. It isn't standing still while life happens around you. Strategic patience is active waiting, watching closely, preparing quietly, and holding the move until the conditions genuinely support it, rather than until the waiting itself simply becomes uncomfortable. Separate the urge to act from actual readiness to act. The two feel identical inside the body, but they are not the same thing at all. Feeling ready to move doesn't mean the situation has caught up to that feeling yet. Watch for an actual signal, not the passage of time. Impatience often comes from counting days instead of reading conditions. Wait for the real sign that a moment has arrived, not simply for enough time to have passed that waiting starts to feel unbearable. Use the waiting period for something useful. Patience that isn't paired with preparation is just delay with a better name. While you wait, sharpen the plan, gather more information and strengthen your position so you're fully ready. The second the right window finally opens. Accept short-term discomfort in exchange for a long-term advantage. Waiting often feels worse than acting, even when waiting is clearly the smarter path. Discomfort by itself is never proof of a wrong decision. From the outside, the smartest move someone can make sometimes looks exactly like doing nothing at all. People will mistake patience for hesitation. Let them think that. The strategist isn't trying to appear busy. The strategist is trying to win, and winning rarely cares how it looks in the meantime. Number 10. Act decisively when the moment arrives. A falcon doesn't circle forever once it spots its target. It studies the ground, reads the wind, waits for the precise angle, and then dives fully committed without a second of hesitation once the moment is right. Everything before that dive was preparation. The dive itself is the entire point of having prepared at all. This final lesson is where almost everything taught so far gets tested. You can notice every pattern, read every real intention, think several steps ahead, study every habit honestly, and position yourself with real care, and still walk away with nothing if you freeze the instant the actual moment finally arrives. Hesitation at the final step is the most common failure of all, and it rarely comes from a lack of awareness. It comes from doubt creeping in at the worst possible time. What if this is wrong? What if it's still too soon? What if I wait just a little longer? In that small gap of overthinking, the window quietly closes, and someone less prepared but more decisive moves through it instead. Trust the preparation that already happened. By the time a real moment shows up, the thinking phase is already finished. The pattern watching, the patience, the positioning, all of it already took place. Acting now isn't reckless. It's simply the natural next step in everything that came before it. Accept that certainty never fully arrives. Waiting for an absolute guarantee before moving means never moving at all, because guarantees don't actually exist outside of hindsight. Strategists act on strong probability, not on impossible certainty. Commit fully once the decision is made. A half-hearted move often produces worse results than no move at all, since hesitant action carries the same exposure as full action while delivering none of its strength. Remember that standing still has a cost too. Most people only calculate the risk of moving forward. They rarely calculate the risk of staying frozen, even though frozen moments usually carry the heavier price in the end. This is the real difference between a genius and a strategist, the same difference raised at the very start of this video. A genius sees the opportunity clearly. A strategist takes it without flinching. Seeing clearly was never the hard part of any of this. Moving fully and on time always was. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see it and I take it. There's a reason this video opened with an old saying, "The axe forgets, but the tree remembers." Awareness without action is just memory. It changes nothing on its own. What you've gone through here was never meant to make you bitter or cynical. It was meant to make you accurate. Most people move through life half seeing it. They notice the surface, react to the moment in front of them, and call that understanding. But understanding requires more than noticing. It requires connecting what you notice into something usable, the way a strategist studies a board instead of just a single piece on it. Every lesson in this video builds on the one before it. You learn to notice what others overlook. You learn to see the pattern hiding behind a single event. You learn to hear intention underneath words, and to think several moves ahead before committing to one. You learn to convert what you know into real advantage, instead of letting it sit unused. You learn to weigh habits heavier than promises, to keep emotion out of the driver's seat, and to prepare quietly long before any opportunity ever shows itself. You learn to hold your patience until timing actually supports the move, and then, finally, to act without flinching once it does. None of these 10 lessons work in isolation. A sharp eye without patience leads to wasted moves. Patience without decisive action leads to missed ones. The strategist Machiavelli described was never cold or heartless. He was simply someone who refused to look away from reality, even when reality was uncomfortable to face. This way of thinking isn't about becoming someone harder or more guarded. It's about becoming someone harder to surprise. The world rarely punishes people for being kind. It punishes people for being unaware, for walking into situations they could have seen coming if only they had been watching closely enough, soon enough. You don't need a different personality to apply any of this. You only need to start paying closer attention than you have been, and trust what that attention shows you, even when it's inconvenient. See clearly. Wait for the right moment. Then move without hesitation. If even one of these 10 lessons gave you something to think about, say so in the comments below. And if you want sharper thinking like this, subscribe, because this channel is built entirely around it.